Shalom, call Halal, Yahawah by Sham by Sham Qadash. Double honors into the apostles, double honors into the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathens that look like the heathens. And to the Yahawah that are listening and learning to you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And I watched a lot of videos today. Brothers, the prophets doing what the prophets are supposed to do, edifying from the apostle elders. The elder bishops to the up and coming bishops. My contemporaries, all the brothers that, the young elder bishops who came in around the Great Awakening, around that 2007 period, those few years after. And I was getting, and just doing what I do, and then when the brothers put up, edifying videos that I feel is very edifying, which is usually about 99% of the time, I repost them. And I usually repost them on my biggest channels. It's because you can't be selfish with this. It's not about you. It's about the gospel. As a matter of fact, if an Israelite brother, that put something up that's edifying or damaging to the enemy, is just revealing information, I'll repost that as well. All right, because there's anything to push for, Yahawah by Yahawashi. So one thing that aggravated me today is that I watched the video and looked, and it sounds like it was narrated by an Edomite, and the video was about all these, all these inventions that were done by Black Americans. All right, and when and I'm just so tired of Israelites using that word black, and not saying so-called black. All right. Because the truth of the fact is, even on this image that you're looking at, this hand, is brown. All right. I don't know how it appears through the camera, but looking at it, with the naked eye, it's brown. All right. And so-called black people, so-called, are brown in complexion, from the darkest chocolate brown to a very light complexion, even almost all the way up to looking like so-called white people. All right. The Israelites come in very different and various shades. And another reason why that is so is because they literally got scattered to the four corners of the earth among all people. All right. There are people in India, all right, that there are people in India, I'm trying to pull something up, that I've seen, or Indian people I've seen here, that are darker than many Negroes you see on the street every day, but yet they're not called black. All right, this woman would never be called a black person, yet she's way darker than me. Her child is way darker than I. Okay. Here's a few more. If you were to braid these women's hair and give them a Dominican or Puerto Rican or even a Mexican flag, all right? If their hair was a bit curly and you poofed it out in the afro, they could stand right in the crowd of so-called Negro women, Latina women, Native women, and you wouldn't even notice them. Yet they're not called black. All right? Why is that? So let's examine that word black before we go any further. All right? This is the Winston Simplified Dictionary, 1925 Intermediate Edition that I'm holding in my hand. That's it on the screen. And I'm going to look up the word black. And it says, and right under it is blackamoor, a Negro, especially an African Negro. All right? Oh boy. So it's letting you know that there's a difference between an African and Hamite, which we're going to read, and a Negro. All right. And for the record, Africans were never and have never been and still are not called Negroes. Never have been. There's clearly a difference between the two. All right. Just like those dark women you saw on the screen. But here we go with black. All right. Because I always say the word black is a very nasty word. And when you place the word black before anything, that means that everything, if you put it as a pronoun, before something, you're saying that everything that comes after it is bad. So like when you say a black person or black people, what you're really saying is bad people, evil people, wicked people, ugly people, and I'm going to prove it. All right, it says black without light. Oh, it said black of the darkest hue, without light, opposed to white. All right. Matter of fact, before we go any further, let's go over to opposed. Oppose. All right, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 words that come behind it are all the root word of them is opposed. All right. So let me read, before I even read oppose, let me read the words that come behind it. Opposite, opposition, oppositionist, oppress, oppression, oppressive, oppressor, opprobrious, opprobrium. All right. So I'm going to work my way back up to oppose. Opprobrium. All right. Abusive or insulting language, disgrace or shame. So the opposite of black is an oppressor. We're going to read our way up to that. It says, one who bear cruelty or unjust hardship. Wow. One who burdens or subjects others to cruelty or unjust hardship. All right. Oppressive, unreasonable, oppressive laws, unjustly severe, tyrannical. All right. Oppression, the act of burdening, state of being burdened, hardship, injustice, tyranny, dullness, and in spirits. Oppress. All right. To burden, crush by hardship or severely, as to oppress the poor, weigh heavily upon, as to be oppressed with anxiety, tyrannize over. All right. Oppositionist, a member of a political party that does not support the administration or government. Well, clearly Esau, Edom, being the oppressor, we just read, and an oppressor and opprobrious, all right, and being oppressive, they clearly do not support our position. All right. That's why it says in Wisdom of Solomon, he is clean contrary. All right. They're contrary to our ways, because our true ways is to follow the Holy Bible. All right. To follow the laws of Yahawah, Yahawashi. All right. Then opposite, adjacent, placed or standing in front of or over, against, as opposite side of the street. All right. The houses were opposite of each other. All right. And it says, but we got to go back up to the top. It says against. All right. That which is contrary or marked contrast. All right. Now finally to the key word, oppose. To speak or act against, to contend or dispute. All right. And they contend against us. And so just as they self-proclaimed themselves white, they proclaimed us, or the Southern Kingdom, I should say, as blacks. All right. When they're actually brown, just like those people we just saw. All right. In complexion, this woman is the same complexion as the average so-called black person. Even a lot of so-called Hispanics. They're also, so-called Mexicans, so-called Dominicans, so-called Puerto Ricans. Like I said, you put her in a Puerto Rican dress and let her stand in a crowd of Puerto Rican women, she'd blend in. You put her in a Dominican dress, garment, and let her stand amongst a bunch of Dominican women, she'd blend right in. All right? You put her in Mexican dress, all right, and let her stand among so-called Mexican women, she'd blend right in. All right? So color really has nothing to do with it. But you get what I'm saying. So let's finish this definition. of black. All right. It says, the darkest hue opposed to white, wrapped in darkness, dismissal, gloomy or forbidden, without moral or goodness, evil, threatening, clouded with anger, sullen. The darkest color, a Negro. All right. To make black, to blacken. So they made us black. All right. They made a portion of our people so-called black when their flesh is actually brown. All right. No one is really black. So so when people are using that terminology, like this guy, Ronald Dalton Jr., who appeared out of nowhere, and this was a big, this was a big deal last year, this Hebrew to Negroes, when the prophets of the Lord have been doing it for years and decades before this guy who has no works, this came out of nowhere with Hollywood type productions, because Esau Edom was behind them, because he's pushing the fact that the Negroes are Hebrews, but he said nothing about the natives or the northern kingdom. All right. And he's still referring to them as black. So you got to beware of Hebrews that use that term black and then don't break it down and explain or say so-called black. All right. So anyone who's still cleaving to that blackness, you got to be beyond stupid. Ignorant is not a strong enough word. Right. You're a little slow. All right. So I'm going to pull up this definition of ham. All right. And it says, and this is from the Zondervan's dictionary. And it says ham, perhaps hot. Let me go back to that Negro or that black. It's or blackamoor. It says a Negro, because the Moors took over Portugal and Spain and most of Europe, not Africans. So you see those images of Israelites, Moors, the Negroes are talking about, as this definition says, the Negroes is speaking about Israelites. All right. So I'm going to read that again. Blackamoor. A Negro, especially an African Negro. All right. So when you see St. Maurice and all these different saints that are statues that are around Europe, the Edomites today, the so-called self-proclaimed white people will refer to them as Africans. They're not Africans at all. The Africans are a different race of people than the so-called Negro. Totally different race of people. All right, so let's read this ham definition. It says ham, perhaps hot. The youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, one of 8 people to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Canaanites, which were all Hamites, a different dark race of people. The dark people, the other dark people of Africa that I remember, they're maps from the 1700s. They called West Coast of Africa Negro land. All right. So the Negroes that went into slavery, all right, out of Africa, the Negroes that were ruling in Europe, the Negroes that came to the Americas from Europe on their own accord, and some in slavery, they were not Africans. All right. They were not. All right. It was the Africans and the Africans, the Edomites, and the Arabs, all right, pursuant to the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter, that was selling the Negroes out of the west coast of Africa, even some parts of Portugal and Spain, because some of the when Portugal and Spain fell, some of those Negroes went to the islands. Some of those Negroes went, or Israelites is what they really are, went into Europe. Some even came to the Americas, all right? But many also went down into Africa. And the ones that went into Africa, the majority of them became slaves later on, all right, upon the start of the slave trade, which was started around 16, even before 1619, to be honest, all right? Slave trade started when Grenada and when Portugal and Spain fell, all right, in 1492, when Cristobal Colon, also known as Christopher Columbus, sailed. And he sailed over here with what? With crypto Jews, Morenos, and Moors. All right. The definition of Moor is a Moreno or a Jew or a Christian, especially from Spain. Okay. Around that time. Matter of fact, I still have that definition in my old Bible. Let me grab it off the shelf from behind me. Yeah, perfect. Okay. This is from the online dictionary. I could have just pulled it up on the screen, but I'm holding it right here. But there it is. All right. We just read it. A Moor is a Negro, especially an African Negro. All right. A Jew, it says Moreno, a Jew or a Moor converted to Christianity, 1580 from Spain. All right. So there it is, man. Okay. So things, you've been lied to about a lot of things, a whole lot of things, especially when it comes to history. All right. So let me get ready to wrap this up because there's visitors here. There's little people out there who are anxious to see me. So let me grab this last scripture. This is 2nd Ezra 6, 27 and 6 and 27, and it reads, "For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which have been so long without fruit, shall be declared." And this is what got these Edomites and these elites so angry and in such denial. All right, they're in such they're lying. They're saying that they got spaceships now and all this other mess that they've collected that crashed. They're trying to control the narrative. Those spaceships, those UFOs are the chariots of Israel. All right, and believe me, they're not going to crash. All right. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash, Qadash, Kwam, Yasarala, Shalom.